legacies. Living legacies, Mars Chung.
That's all.
26 years after she held me in her lap and read to me her last storybook, I returned to visit my favorite aunt. She has something she wanted to show me. Aunt Mary took a handful of papers out of an old wooden trunk and passed them to me without a word. As I slowly turned the yellowed, brittle parchment and breathed in the musty odors, I realized she was sharing with me our family's history. I learned that my great-grandfather was a member of the aristocracy. He built his wealth working as a locomotive engineer out of Hubei, China. My grandfather was born into a family of privilege. He'd known only a life of luxury until communism arrived at his doorstep in 1957. He was arrested and thrown into a hard labor camp. Everything he owned was lost, seized by the communist government. Yet he returned to reunite his family. Despite all grandfather had to go through, when my father chose to come to America in hopes of finding a better life, his parents urged him to go, not knowing if they would ever see him again. He landed in San Francisco with $6 in his pocket. Dad struggled for a long time, but eventually, after a lot of hard work, he managed to rebuild the family's wealth and make a safe home for his wife and children. It was humbling to know that it was now my turn to add to these pages. I'm thinking, at age 32, I've made a recent career change, starting all over. I had no spouse. I had no child of my own. I didn't own a house. I had nothing that suggested success, no story that brought honor to my ancestors. But then it dawned on me. There was more than one definition of success written on these pages, not just that of the almighty dollar. Have you ever asked yourself, what is my legacy to be? Auntie didn't let me sit in her lap this time, but she still had a great story to share. She began. When I worked as a hospice nurse, my most memorable patient, I'll call Mr. B. Mr. B had been diagnosed with a terminal disease. Life expectancy? 4 months. Oh, he chose to spend those 4 months being absolutely disagreeable. He constantly and arrogantly reminded us that he had been a Fortune 500 vice president and that he had managed immeasurable wealth. It was evident that he had enjoyed being powerful, authoritative, and feared. I'll never forget how he once intentionally upended his tray of food, screaming, "What is this garbage?" I said, "Why did you do that? I would have helped you had you only asked." "I did that just to let you know I could." Imagine being reduced from a position of power to one of complete dependency. One day, as I was passing by his room, I noticed him desperately grabbing at the coat of one of our therapists, begging him, "Don't leave me! Please don't leave me!" I felt such pity for him when I realized he was so alone. Not once in those 4 months did I see a single visitor in Mr. B's room. However, 2 days before he died, I noticed that an older woman and 3 young adults were with him. But I heard no words of gratitude, no words of love. I saw no tears. But there was plenty of casual conversation. How's your business doing? What are you doing this weekend? Suddenly, the woman called out to the others. Children, it's time to say goodbye to your father. No display of emotion, as they all silently left. I later learned there had been no funeral, no celebration of life, and no mourning of his passing. The contrast between my aunt's story of Mr. B and what was written on my family's pages confirmed what I wanted written on mine. Starting over didn't matter. After all, my father and grandfather had both done so. Loyalty, integrity, hard work, but not too much of it, and caring for others mattered the most to me. My ancestors had modeled my kind of success. What kind of success is yours? What will be written on your pages? What is your legacy to be?